Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Milner, and I'm the PLC lead for grades 6 through 12. And this instructional video is going to be talking about vocal health for educators and how we as teachers should prioritize taking care of ourselves. A lot of the times, we put our students first and our programs first, and it's very difficult for us to um, really take care of our vocal health, our mental health, physical health. And so a lot of these resources that I'm going to present to you guys today is to help encourage you guys to prioritize that. So let's get into it. So let's first talk about signs and symptoms of vocal fatigue and when it's time to take a break from teaching. So 2 weeks of persistent hoarseness is a good sign. Usually we know our bodies really well. And so the onset of laryngitis can be very apparent if you talk and sing more than a normal person throughout the day. As singers and educate and teachers, not only do we teach every day and talk every day, but we also sing every day. So whenever you start to see 2 or 3 weeks of consistent hoarseness into where there's no recovery, that's a good time to not only go for vocal rest, but you may want to check the ENT as well. Your voice changes. I know that when we first started singing in the morning, I know about me that it's a very low register, but if you notice that throughout the day, in the course of the day, your voice does not warm up, as I like to say with your choir, um, then that could be a sign of vocal abuse, vocal overuse, and unfortunately, maybe sometimes vocal damage. Overuse and misuse of the voice can lead to damage of our vocal cords and our vocal nodes. So the last thing you want to do is ignore voice changes. Sometimes in our voices, we will hear unintentional vocal fry, and what I like to hear, which to call like whisper tones, and like in our speech. So, be aware of that voice change. Chronic vocal fatigue, when your voice doesn't come back at like it used to come back or snap back. Um, this typically happens around concert times. So concert times. LGPE, a lot of times we have to over exaggerate or over um, explain a lot of the times when we're teaching. Um, those are the times when we find ourselves with chronic vocal fatigue. Ways to combat that or um, to I would say not combat it, but ways to alleviate chronic vocal fatigue. I'm going to talk about that in a few slides later. Vocal fry. Recently, vocal fry has been unfortunately become more popular and mainstream. And vocal fry is when, of course, when you start to notice or when you start to talk on the voice like this, and it has this gravelly sound to it. When you notice that when you're trying to phonate or sing in vocal model for your choir, and the vocal fry comes out, or that's what is persistent, especially in your lower registers of your voice, stop singing immediately, stop talking immediately. Even when we are, even when we feel like we are resting our voices, we're going to talk about this. I'll mention this another time as well, but making sure that we're not consistently in places where we're listening to music with words, because our voice actually, the muscles in our voice actually mimics that of speech when we're just even when we're not talking. So vocal fry, that pressing down on the larynx, that pressing down on the vocal your voice box, would cause is also one of the causes of vocal fatigue. Delayed onset when singing. So delayed onset is, of course, when you inhale and exhale to phonate and to sing on a pitch. There is a delayed start to that pitch. So instead of it's and you have that space right before the pitch is produced. That is a sign that your vocal folds are inflamed and they're you need to be on vocal rest. Continuous singing while with swollen vocal cords or vocal folds will only like it would only delay healing time. The best way for our voices to recover is by being quiet. Laryngitis is a recurring thing, a recurring feat for you as a teacher. So when you notice that you're constantly out sick with laryngitis, um, drainage, as well as some teachers experience acid reflux sometime at this time as well. Take the time and take care of yourself. It's like I said like at the start of the video, make sure that you prioritize your physical health first so that as educators and as singers, we know our physical health directly affects how we sound and how we sing for our choirs. Now we're going to talk about voice preservation. So, good practices to have: warm up your voice before you teach, on the way to school, on the way to your class. Especially if you have first period or first block planning, use that time to sing, hum, do some sirens, vocalize yourself. Even especially before you have to model your voice. This will help with the longevity of your instrument, as well as it gives a really proper sound and a proper tone for your own students, and you're modeling to your students how proper vocal health care as well. Use classroom microphone for amplification. If your classroom and or your county provides you with a microphone, such as a lot of schools in Georgia, use that microphone often, daily, every single day. Save your voice. Choral classrooms can seat up to 50 to 100 students. So make sure you're saving your voice. Next, utilize student directors and section leaders. Create a create a space and a place of leadership within your students in your classroom to where they can run the classroom with you there or without you there. That sense of independency and them taking ownership of their education will help you on those days when you feel like you need to save your voice and you feel like you can't sing, or you're sick, or you're getting over something, but you also need to rehearsal. Prepare and train your student directors and section leaders to be that voice for you. Silent rehearsals. Silent rehearsals are is when you don't speak from the time the students enter the classroom into the time they exit the classroom. Um, I've used this when I had strep throat during student teaching, and I had to still teach some way. So this was the way we did it. I wrote all of my instructions and multiple instructions in multiple cues on the board. So I just pointed and used a lot of nonverbal instruction at that time to preserve my voice. The students really got a kick out of it because there's a lot more in investment. There's a lot more excitement because they're like, what is she going to say next? What is she going to point to next? What is she going to do next? So you definitely want to try to utilize a silent rehearsal every once in a while. And it may be a good way to also get them to watch you more, and more specifically. Like I had mentioned before, written directions. I like using written directions in everyday rehearsal so that my students get used to seeing an agenda, a plan, specifically in these written directions when I'm on vocal rest, or I'm not using my voice when teaching, and I still expect them to sing. Um, Written directions on the board and also putting it somewhere on their main platform is going to be extremely helpful. Okay. And last but not least, in this voice preservation section is use sign language and conducting cues when necessary. So at the beginning of my teaching career, I did not know any sign language. And as you learn and you teach and you grow, I have developed some sign language. And so in these next few videos, I'm going to show and teach you guys some basic common signs that you can use with your students. You can teach your students the beginning of the semester, the middle of the semester, that will help them also recognize what place we are in rehearsals and things of that nature. Thank you guys so much for watching part 1 of Take Care of Yourself, Vocal Health for Teachers. Like I stated, we're not just going to cover vocal health, we're also going to cover physical health, mental health, and just how we can over how we can, how overall we can better care for ourselves as educators, care for our bodies, and that way we can be there for our students as well. Bye, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.